What's up, Legion of the Lariat? It is I, stevezapf. I am back as the host after we did our SummerSlam review episode. And with me, as always, the host of our bonus content, the SummerSlam review, most of our interviews, my tag team partner, an okay guy all around, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. How you doing today, Michael?
Oh, you know me, Steven. I'm living the dream.
Someone's dream, right? I'm living someone's dream right now. But we get to talk wrestling. Everything can't be all bad. Real quick, we will be recording officially the episode for our review of SummerSlam 1992 this week, which means it should be getting released next week. We will have a few special guests joining us for that. We're very excited. I'm going to keep a little bit of mystery on this one. Keep some of the cards to the old chest, if you will.
I know. Uh-huh.
He knows.
Uh-huh.
Also, we have gotten a few confirmations, so we will be doing some more interviews with some really, really great guests coming up. We're just setting up the dates, but we do have confirmation from said guests that they will do the interviews with us. So as soon as we know the dates, we will advertise more of them for y'all. Outside of that, let's do our shout out to Tap Cancer Out. Helps with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descent, and Tom Coughlin's J Fund. As always, guys, J Fund. As always, guys, the information for this fundraiser will be in our description below, along with all of our social media accounts. Please, please, please help out as much as you can. Every little bit helps. Every penny goes to great causes, obviously. But with that said, Showtime, let's get down to wrestling.
Let's get weird.
You know what? If you're not weird, you're not doing it right. Around the wrestling world, apparently Britt Baker is suspended. This looks like there was something involving her and MJF's girlfriend, Alicia Atout. It looks as though Britt was saying something about MJF, and Alicia was in the area and went and told MJF, and he confronted her, and it was a big scene. And unfortunately, since Britt Baker is only recently back and MJF is the current American International Champion,
the
one that was going to get in trouble was obviously the one probably not holding the title.
Yeah, the story that I've been able to suss out so far is that Britt Baker was throwing shade on the Ospreay MJF match, it sounded like, and things got heated between the ladies, and everything that MJF had done, it just seemed like it was coming to the defense of his girlfriend. That's not this.
His girlfriend. I don't think they're engaged. I think they're just dating.
And so that's where it all comes up. There is a funny tweet from Britt Baker who's like, you ever hear a rumor about yourself? And being like, I wonder what happens next. Like, what am I going to do next? So I thought that was funny. There's a chance it's a little bit of a work. Or it's just weird AEW drama. Either way, it's, I don't know. I don't usually.
I think this is weird AEW
I like it better when it's
drama. I mean, it's kind of all the same thing at this point. There was more other rumors about Britt Baker this week. Adam Cole sent out a very cryptic tweet or message about moving by himself, and a lot of people were saying that something along the lines of Britt Baker possibly cheating on him. We don't know that information. I don't know Britt Baker personally. I don't know Adam Cole personally. But it seemed like this was all flowing in like a 5-day time span of just rumors surrounding Britt Baker. Again, we weren't there. We weren't in the locker room. We don't know exactly what happened. And as per always, there's always, 3 sides Showtime? There's his side, her side, and the truth.
Yeah.
who knows exactly which way they're going with this.
It's all the truth. It's just their own perception of the truth.
And nothing but the truth, but not
but
our truth.
But it's always our truth. Always. But the one thing, the one area that we were able to get a little insight into the room is Tony Khan had a meeting with Shane McMahon.
Tony Khan had a meeting with Shane McMahon, and I was listening to Bully Ray talk about this. I know we bring up Bully Ray a lot, but this was actually really insightful on how he said this.
I mean, the
Bully Ray said they used the word meeting. They didn't say they went out to lunch. They didn't say they were grabbing a drink. They didn't say they were meeting up, so to speak. They used the word meeting. Meeting is a very, very strong word because it usually entails you are speaking of business of some sort. The only business that they have in common is that of pro wrestling. It doesn't sound like Shane is... I'm hearing a lot of rumors that Shane's going to show up and he's going to be Shane Brandon or something like that. I don't think that's where we're going with this. I think if you bring Shane McMahon on, you are bringing him on to help with your booking committee, to help your product backstage. I don't see him being an onstage character. I think that's a waste of Shane McMahon's talents, realistically. He's 50-something years old. He's got a torn quad, or the last time he got in a ring, he tore his quad. I feel like this is one of those situations where if Shane McMahon is to go work with whatever version of this you want to say, AEW and Tony Khan, this is, hey, I'm here to help you with your product and realize what you're not doing that needs to be done. And it's kind of more of a matter of, a lot of people are talking about if they would give him the book, and I don't think they're going to hand him the pencil. I don't think Tony Khan gives up that pencil in the history of Everdome.
Come on.
No, he's never going to give it up. But Shane is a strong enough character. I mean, a strong enough character as in a human being, a person, not a character on screen, that I think he can control the room a little bit and maybe slip some nuggets of truth or great ideas, kind of get it past the goalie, so to speak.
Well, he can act like he's been there because he's been there.
He's been there.
So I agree and disagree with you. I agree with all the stuff on the backstage stuff. He would definitely do a great job there. He's been there. But I think he's too famous of a face not to go out there on screen, too. He doesn't have to get in the ring. But I could see him taking over the Christopher Daniel role of being the commissioner, or whatever you want to call him, the on-screen authority, where Shane can really, really go in there and use his skills on the mic as much as his skills in the backstage area. So I wouldn't discount that. But in all honesty, I think this is all just a power play to get back to WWE. I took a meeting with AEW. I had to look at my side, like their side of the equation, but if you want me back, I'll come back.
And let's face it, Shane doesn't need the money. He's not taking this.
Yeah.
It's definitely not about the money. I think this is. I agree with you. I think this could be a power play to maybe get back to WWE. They were good enough to put Stephanie back on the show at SummerSlam. This seems like they might be. This is his way of being like, you're going to put, she's the one who actually knew about stuff, and why aren't you going to let me on there? I left because...
I don't think that's why Shane's not there now. Shane's not toxic. He's actually...
No, so if you listen to anyone, Shane is almost always their favorite McMahon.
Yeah.
Except for one person, and this is an important person, Nick Khan. Apparently, he is not Nick Khan's favorite McMahon. So, it kind of is what it is on that one. I'm interested to see. I know he said he's excited to see the business changes that AEW makes. So, I don't... maybe this was they've said that they got together through a mutual acquaintance. I'm going to assume that the mutual acquaintance is Bryan Danielson.
Oh, I think it's Mercedes Monet.
Do you? I assumed it was.
She's the one that posted the picture. Apparently, she didn't take it, but she posted the picture.
No, but I don't mean for that. But like they got together. I think it was because Bryan Danielson is actually close with Shane McMahon. Like actually close with him.
The side of the story, and I'm not quite sure where I found it, was that she had run into Shane. Mercedes had run into Shane, and he had given her. They've exchanged digits or whatever that is, like in a platonic way, business way, and so she set up the meeting. Apparently, that's what I had heard. Could be hearsay, conjecture, could be just telling a good story from the CEO. CEO.
Yes. So, I know to say that because
the music tells me. It tells me it's great.
Tells me to do it. But I am excited to see kind of what this hashes out. If nothing else, this could have been a session of free advice from Shane McMahon.
Sure.
And are you going to turn down free advice from Shane McMahon? Like, the one thing, and again, I'm going to quote Bully Ray on this one. The one thing all like more recent great bookers have in common is that they sat at the learning tree of other great bookers. No, not the Chris Jericho learning tree.
Jericho? Are you coming around to Jericho?
Not totally.
You did that to yourself.
I know, but if you looked, Vince sat at Vince Senior's, footstep. Shane sat at Vince. Paul Heyman sat at Dusty Rhodes. Mm-hmm. All of these guys, there was someone before them that they sat at and did this great booking job. They didn't just start booking. They had to sit and see how it was done and then put their own twist on it. Unfortunately, that is the only knock I have on Tony Khan all around is some of his things, and it's not really a knock. This is a criticism. This is just a normal criticism. I think Tony Khan might be a little more adept to being a better booker if he had sat at that learning tree rather than just kind of opening the business.
He just did his own thing, opened the business. He had the ability to just jump right in, particularly at a time where there wasn't a lot of big competition for WWE, and he kind of just built it from the ground up, which is admirable in its own right. But he did have some of those people around him. He's hired some of the right people, so I don't know how he's not learning from the likes of Arn Anderson, who just recently left, or Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn. There's a ton of those guys. Christopher Daniels.
I mean, we could speculate all we want. It could be that he's surrounding himself with the wrong people. He's not listening to the right people. It could be a ton of things.
He's just listening too much to the Bucks.
I let him say. I just want everyone to notice that I let Mr. Showtime Michael Wright say it that time, because normally I'd be the one who have jumped on that one.
I mean, it's right there. Like
it's clear, so like, right there.
It's got so many shades of WCW written all over it right now.
So many, and like not the good shades, not like a black and white NWO shade, like more like a black and silver NWO shade.
NWO 2000.
And last but not least, with our wrestling news, real quick, I want to transition into this one because am I a star?
I think so. I've seen it.
I think I'm a star now. Listen, guys, in the last 2 years, the leader of the Legion of Lariat, Steve Zapf, has appeared on both New Japan Pro Wrestling Television in a Killer Cross video. He beat the crap out of me. It was one kick. We only took one take because that's how I work. Cash that check. And I've just been featured on WWE television on Damian Priest 24/7 documentary. There I am, like 10 minutes in. Steve Zapf locking in a side headlock. A very young Steve Zapf. I am going to put that picture right up there.
It's right here?
It's going to be... here. I think for me it's going to be to my right.
Here?
I think for you it's going to be to your left.
This way. It's right here.
It will be somewhere. This picture will be in there though, and it is a very young, non-bearded, no gray,
such a baby
surfer necklace wearing Steve Zapf.
Was that Icefire still?
He was still. I don't even think I'd become Icefire yet. I think I was just Steve Zapf. It was fun seeing. I'm not gonna lie. I lost. I got a little giddy when I saw it. That's why we're bringing it up now because he. But I really liked watching that video too. The whole documentary is very good. It really gives you an idea of who Damian Priest is as a human and kind of why they've given him even the amount of push that they have is and I've known this for years myself, is he's a legitimately good person. And he'll be there to support everyone else around him if he's close to them. So that's kind of cool to know that the World Championship or the WWE main roster run hasn't changed him all that much. Now that we've established I am a star, me. Let's go on to TNA. The biggest thing happening in TNA this week was the Indie God, the Deathmatch King, always ready, Matt Cardona, returns to TNA to interrupt the wedding of Steph DeLander and PCO. You just know you always know the wedding's going to get interrupted. I don't even know why they do them anymore. We all know they're getting interrupted. The last wedding that didn't get interrupted on screen was Macho Man and Elizabeth.
That's because that was sacred, because that was real love.
That was real love. It got the reception got interrupted because Jake the Snake Roberts gave her a box that had a cobra pop out of it.
Surprise!
Surprise! Cardona smashes PCO. This is kind of setting up Matt Cardona if he is healthy now. I know he's been on the shelf with, I believe, a shoulder injury the last couple of months. Mm-hmm. If he is good to go and he's cleared, this is a really good chance for him to go back to TNA. And again, that adds a little bit more of that star power that we've been talking about and go after the Digital Media Championship that I think he was the first holder of. I believe he was the first one to hold the belt. So
not sure.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I know he had a very long feud for it with Jordan Grace for a while. And honestly, having Cardona there, just another star. Mm-hmm. I think that just adds to TNA, and it gets Cardona that much closer to that return to WWE that we all kind of know he really, really wants. He says it constantly. He doesn't see himself retiring in, like a local high school gymnasium. He expects his last match to be in an arena somewhere. And I think he deserves it. He puts on a ton of work. He puts on great matches. And he's changed his character drastically so often to just not stay stale. It's pretty endearing to him, honestly. Even if his promos are supposed to be very, very heel, and he, went against one of his best friends getting married with Steph DeLander. Now then,
I think that was the number. The one thing to add to TNA as well, you had Nick Nemeth versus Mustafa Ali, and Nick Nemeth retained the TNA World Championship. Great match. These two guys are incredible competitors. So just certainly one to go check out, because I think anyone who's been watching TNA recently knows how good these guys are in the ring and put on a great show.
And I could see that being a longer program than just this one match. I feel like this match, unless one of them is going somewhere else, which I know they've hinted at Mustafa possibly being up on his contract, and it was a very short-term contract, and he might be getting looked at one of the other two spots. But who knows? Either that, or maybe he's looking to do a stint in Japan or something like that. I don't think he's ever really pulled Japan, so it'd be cool to see him pull that character over there.
Yeah, if he's around, like you said, he losing the X Division Championship put him in the world title contenders. So he has to be built that way. Otherwise, he's just going to fizzle out, and you're going to lose. And then he's going to go back to. He'll end up challenging for the digital media championship or whatever, and then he'll frustrate himself out of TNA.
Against AJ Francis.
No one wants that. Yeah, no one wants that.
No one wants that.
Well, didn't AJ Francis lose the?
He did. Now it's under PCO, but I'm sure PCO will get it back to AJ Francis, and we'll get Mustafa Ali versus AJ Francis in a match.
Unless he gives it up to Cardona.
That all 10 people want to see.
Yeah.
Every one of AJ Francis's friends will want to see. Moving on from the number 3 to the number 2 promotion in America, we've got AEW news. Lots of stuff as we're moving into as we're on our road to Wembley. We're already in that road. So, in a little bit of a shocker, Chris Statlander beats Willow Nightingale in a title eliminator to get a shot at the CMLL title. Who called that?
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Just so you know, he's always right.
Always right.
Always right.
This one, they were just setting up this feud for a while now. This is the perfect time to let her get one over here in order to challenge for this belt at Wembley, like making it like really worth a big payoff. So we'll see kind of how this turns out. I would probably assume that Willow's going to retain, but loses this one, and then maybe they'll get a rubber match or something like that afterwards. So
I think so.
I just assume you get more rubber matches than really ever happen. Because you actually don't get the third match all that often anymore.
Not too often. I think we're going to get Statlander versus Willow hopefully at Wembley.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get it at Wembley, we'll get it just before Wembley, which I hope it's not that. But maybe we'll get a rubber match at Chicago for All Out. I could see that. I could see the CMLL title maybe not making the cut for Wembley, but it being on the card for Chicago for All Out. MJF and Will Ospreay are continuing to build up their feud. They have had a really nice build on this. It's a really nice war of words. I would like to see Ospreay, I love Ospreay's passion and I love his overall cadence and how he delivers, but I'd love it if someone maybe sat with him, because he's never been on a show like this. Before he got to AEW, he'd never been on really American television like this. I'd love it if someone sat with him and really, really maybe produced some of his promos a little bit. I don't want to change what he's saying, but maybe how he gets to his end point a little bit. I think there's a few times where he kind of goes around his elbow to get to his wrist sort of thing. And I think it would be, I think he could maybe get to the point a little quicker. And again, I'm nitpicking with Ospreay right now. Overall, his stuff is phenomenal. I really love what he's doing. I'm loving what they're doing with MJF and him. I would also like it if MJF, I know he's the loudmouth heel. I like MJF better when he's a little bit quieter. If you rewind a few years, and I know this is a term they don't like to say around AEW, but when MJF had his feud with CM Punk, he calmed down a little bit. And it wasn't the yelling. It wasn't the Rowdy Piper heel. It was, you're right, I am the devil. And it sounded so much more evil when you say it like that. Like, yeah, I am that guy. I'm the guy who did this to you. And when you yell, it's kind of the opposite of if you don't ever yell, and when you yell, it sounds scary. If you always yell and then you don't yell, it's kind of scarier too.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think he's over the top right now. I don't think they're going to walk away from that whatsoever. Like,
and I don't think right now
it's over the top. And
I could see it turning into, if there's a rubber match, I could see then maybe we get like a 3-week time period where he gets a little bit more serious about it.
Yeah, I could see this being a long-term feud. Like this is gonna sound ridiculous, but like, give me a best of 7. Like
Well,
you'd never do those things,
well,
but
who else is there
there's a
for them?
lot of legs here. Like there's so much legs with the two of them going back and forth. If they can keep it fresh and continue to put on banger after banger, it'll
Wrong
be
show.
it's still the same concept. It would be, it would be a pretty good clinic that they could put on together, and then part their separate ways, just going back and forth, showing the American title and the international championship. Just
International championship.
never giving the other one the other belt, just keeping your own.
The only problem is eventually that'll mean that both belts will be a thing.
When
um,
everyone has a belt, then no
so
one has a belt.
yes, if everyone has a title, does every title mean something, or
That means,
does every title
that means
mean
none of
nothing?
them. When
Nothing.
everybody is special, no
Everyone
one
is special. They all got participation awards. So their meeting at Dynamite led to MJF and Kyle Fletcher having a match next week. Kyle Fletcher came out and kind of saved Ospreay after MJF was going to jump him.
Mm-hmm.
I like this if this isn't just going to be a turn.
It's going to be a turn.
It's got to be a turn, right? Like, it's too obvious that, like, they're just going to turn on him. And
yeah,
has anyone else noticed that
he left the faction?
That Kyle Fletcher looks like just a tall version of the actor Will Powder that plays in Guardians of the Galaxy and The Maze Runners and We Are the Millers. Like, he's like a really tall version of him.
I mean, that dude's pretty tall to begin with.
Yeah, but Fletcher's like 6'4". All around, I am excited to see Fletcher kind of get in there and maybe have a little bit of a upper mid-card rub off of MJF at this point. Like, this could be what sets them up. They're trying to really, really set him up for something, it seems. They gave him Swerve right when Swerve won the world title. They keep having him have these really good matches with people. I'd like to see where this goes with him a little bit. Again, he's another guy that could probably benefit a little bit from being maybe a little bit more produced even by Don Callis, but maybe someone else. I feel like Don Callis is a little bit too over the top for what they should be presenting Kyle Fletcher as.
Mm-hmm. They're probably, I mean, I can see them like level setting some of this stuff a little bit. And because I feel like when Ospreay came back, the Callis family got real muddy. Like, you really weren't quite sure what's going on. Like, it's a heel faction, but is it really? Because Ospreay's clearly the face here. He was never even trying to be a heel. Nope. And now Kyle Fletcher's kind of showing signs of face. If he doesn't turn on him, he's going to turn on him.
He's going to turn on him.
But
just so we're aware, he's going to turn on him.
But, like, so I could see Don Callis needing a little bit of a facelift and going that
route. It's talk about muddy, though. I'm going to talk about muddy waters. Darby Allin is the number one contender for the TNT and the AEW World Heavyweight titles. What?
This is great. Unify them.
Dude,
you won't do it. Just unify them.
He's not going to. They're not going to do that. Unify. He had the chance. He had the chance to unify stuff. He didn't do it.
Unify.
They're not going to unify. They're probably going to keep the American Championship.
Unify.
Unity. So, I mean, I feel like I actually don't think Darby Allin's going to win either of these titles.
I wouldn't be surprised if he took the TNT title.
I wouldn't be surprised if he took the TNT title, but also taking one of those belts out of the Elite might actually, like, unless they're trying to finally break up this power trip that the Elite's on.
Well, I mean, this storyline with the Elite's been going on for 2 months. For a
while.
That's like a decade in AEW stands.
I hear you, but you know, the Bucks are still the Bucks still think they're the greatest thing ever.
Well, when you don't have to defend any of your titles,
ever,
it makes it easy.
Ever.
Even the quintessential TV title.
That should be that should be defended every television show. Yeah, that
Every
title.
single show. That one.
Every
That's what
show.
I'm talking
about. It sounds like Darby is getting the shot at the TNT title at Wembley and getting the shot at the world title at Grand Slam, which is a Dynamite, I believe. So realistically, I don't care who is the world champion at that point. They're not giving the world title to Darby at a Dynamite.
I could see them doing it because they like these Dynamites to feel bigger than they really are. But I don't think Darby's going to beat
Swerve or Bryan Danielson.
Or Bryan Danielson.
Or Bryan Danielson.
Wait. If Bryan Danielson wins the title, which I don't think he will at this point in time, I might change my mind on that, but I don't think he will. But if he does, I can see Darby taking the title off.
Maybe, but on a Dynamite still, like, didn't they just watch Who Killed WCW? Do we have to bring up Goldberg and Hogan on Nitro? Like,
it's just that Bryan Danielson has never held this title before. He can't hold it for a long time because he has to get back to cupping, and if you have Darby take this, you can actually even just give it right back to Swerve afterwards. Get more of this.
But I don't know. Let him do it at all out at least. Like, don't do it on a Dynamite. Tony, I know you're listeing. It's good
to have. Wait, Steven. Let's take a step back. Let's not badger freaking Tony A here. Not you can do it afterwards if I decide that I'm wrong. Which let's be real, I'm always right.
I can't wait to get that shirt made for you.
I like the idea of titles changing hands unexpectedly sometimes. When you overdo it, I fully agree. You shouldn't ever do that. But, like, what's the point of ever defending the world title on a Dynamite if it's never going to change hands?
I guess that's true. And they haven't had any titles outside of Ospreay losing to MJF really change hands in a while.
Yeah.
Because even, I think Mercedes Moné is probably the newest champion they have at this point.
Yeah, and that was a pay-per-view, right? Did we have to pay for that one?
But that was still what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago at this point.
Yeah. And then, well, the
Bucks have been holding the Bucks have had the tag team title since April. Yeah, because Sting retired in March, so they've had the tag team title since April. Swerve has had the world title since then. Okada's been holding the Continental title with a stranglehold and no title defenses.
He had one.
Yeah, against Pac. So realistically, the only title that's really changed hands since March is the TBS and the international
and the
title.
TNT. And the TNT technically too.
It technically did, but that was a fake title change because Copeland got hurt.
Sure, but it still happened. The trios title, does that count?
No. Which one? There was 9 of them.
All of them. All of them have changed hands.
All of them, and no one bothered to worry about it. In other confusing AEW news, the Acclaim are now calling out FTR in a very heel sort of way. They're not shaking their hands. It's not seeing who's the better tag team. Max Caster calling him, I don't know if he's referring to both of them when they say it, but he constantly says the best wrestler in the world. And I don't know if he thinks that them together are just one person. But even Anthony Bowen said, you got the best wrestler in the world, you've got the Acclaimed, and the way he said it sounds like the Acclaimed are the best wrestler in the world, not the best wrestlers. Best wrestler, singular. No, just
Well, maybe he just thinks really highly of his partner, and he kind of sucks.
Maybe, or maybe they're both speaking of Billy Gunn.
They might, and then it might be true.
That might kind of be true. He's definitely one of the best athletes to ever be in pro wrestling, and he still looks exactly the same.
Yeah, it's the Paul Rudd disease. This is all backwards. To be honest with you, like the Acclaimed are technically the number one-ish contenders for the tag team titles.
They never got their title shot.
They never got their title shot, and now they're calling out FTR. FTR should be calling them out because they're the ones that should have been the number one contenders. So like it really is all backwards. Like why start calling out FTR when you should be focused on the Bucks? Even though I don't know, the Bucks are writing all this stuff and keeping people away from them.
I'm so glad you're the one that keeps saying it. It makes me sound like a nicer person this week. You are tired. You're a little tired this week.
I'm always tired. We film late.
That's true. I don't know. I think we'll get good matches out of this. If nothing else, I just have become accustomed to FTR giving us good tag team matches.
Yep.
And the Acclaimed are not a bad team. I like the Acclaimed. But
the Acclaimed are going to lose their number one contendership here, right?
And they're going to go full heel. Which, what was the point of them breaking off from the Bang Bang gang at that point if they're just going to go full heel like a month later?
I mean, just to get them away from each other, they could do different things. That's all.
I guess. And then they're going to all be friends again. And they're going to reform the Scissor Me Bang Bang gang or whatever the hell it's called. And something, this. I forgot that you couldn't see my hands under there.
He could be doing anything. I don't have to do my hands.
It could be anything. It could even be a boat.
It could even be a boat.
Big news with Sammy Guevara coming back. I don't know how big. He keeps leaving and coming back and getting suspended and coming back and going to be a dad and coming back and then coming back. And they never know what they want to do with him. They never know if they want him to be a babyface. They never know if they want him to be a swarmy heel. I've lost interest in him. He's a very good wrestler. A very good wrestler. He's put on some outstanding matches. And when he was the TNT champion, I was very excited because he had that young Eddie Guerrero vibe about him. The young babyface Eddie Guerrero, the fiery Spanish hero that was going to come out there and really just give you all the fight. You got all the cool high-flying moves, but you got the guy who was willing to get down and dirty with some punches too because he had it in him. And then they put him back with Jericho. And then they took him away from Jericho. And then they put him back with Jericho. And then they took him away from Jericho. And now I kind of just would prefer if he stayed at home and was a dad.
But did he learn anything with Jericho?
No, because he wasn't a learning tree yet.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
He learned how to appreciate Jericho because he was part of the Jericho Appreciation Society, the JAS.
So he did learn something.
And what I forget what the other one was. It was Jericho Appreciation. Oh, and he learned about shapes because he was in the inner circle. So moving on from someone who I don't really care about onto two people that I care deeply about. Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May's feud is heating up intensely. They are both cutting amazing promos. I love this idea that Toni Storm, who was already crazy, is losing her damn mind.
This is what I said earlier. This is exactly the storyline I wanted to see.
She's like padded wall crazy now.
Yeah,
and I love it.
She's all in black now, and this is so. I see this next layer if what's her valet's name? His name's escaping me now. Luther. Luther. If
Alfred.
Luther, if he double crosses her at Wembley, she's gonna go like full black veil kind of stuff and like, don't look at me, I'm forgotten.
She goes like full vaudeville, just blackface. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no,
It'll be
no,
the worst.
no, no, no.
It'll be the
That's
worst
not,
idea ever.
that's not where I was going. Avail. It's Avail. No, stop. Move on.
She becomes a mime.
No, sometimes, no, stop. Just, it's not Tony Mariah.
Honestly, I'm loving the promos they're cutting. I like this serious version of Mariah May. She is definitely cutting a much more serious promo. All around, like I said, I'm very, very happy with what they're doing with this. This is killing it right now, and I'm so happy that they're doing it.
My opinion, Tony's always has the best storyline in AEW. Like, I feel like every one of her feuds are built properly. This one was months in the making. This is like the real long-term storytelling here. I think we're in for quite the match, and it's going to be gruesome.
I completely agree. I'll be so mad about something later, but we will get back to that at a different point. I think this fight, because it's going to be a fight at Wembley, is going to be awesome. And honestly, we keep saying this for every AEW pay-per-view. I think this is going to be one of my favorite matches at Wembley. Yeah. I think Tony versus Mariah this might actually be my favorite match at Wembley. And it's got some competition, don't get me wrong. I think Swerve and Danielson is going to be amazing. I think MJF and Ospreay is going to be amazing. I think this is shaping up to be a card with amazing matches. And I think what's making them amazing is also they're finally doing what we asked. We're getting some actual storytelling out of it, which that's all we asked, just a little bit. Give us like 60-40. That's all we need. 60% matches, 40% story matches. Maybe even 65-35.
I want to see more wrestling in this story. I always do, but I need to care. Just a little bit.
I need the emotion. I need the emotion in the match. We're gonna get next week. Speaking of one of those other matches that is making me care, we're getting Bryan Danielson versus Double J. They are against Jeff Jarrett. For those kids who don't know that he's Double J as well.
Double J.
JEFF JARRETT. Haha. Double J. Jeff Jarrett. They would. Jeff Jarrett has been encouraging Danielson to consistently like leave it all out there. Be all in. And he did the promo, or he did the segment with Swerve, which I'll cover, which we'll get into after this. But afterwards, Double J is kind of giving him his flowers, like that's what I'm talking about. And he slaps his cowboy hat out of his hand and says, "You want to see All In? Why don't you get in there next week with me, and you can see what kind of Bryan Danielson I am." I was like,
oh snap!
He said you ugly. He said you ain't got no nipples. So we will see that next week, but that came out of our Swerve Danielson main event segment that we got, which established that we are going to have at Wembley Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson, career versus title. And if Danielson loses, he will be retiring. So, Showtime, I'm going to ask you, is Bryan Danielson retiring?
I find it hard to believe that Danielson's career matches are going to be against Swerve. Like, there's really been not much of a build. I understand that it might be a necessity because of his health, and like we might as well do a career versus title match because we're here. But I find it hard to believe that this is going to be the one that sends him into retirement. But it could happen, I guess. I think it's more likely that Danielson wins the title, loses it relatively quickly, and then retires.
I could see him losing it to someone that I could see him winning the title and losing it to someone that he has some type of history with. I
Like
could
Moxley.
Moxley. I could see him losing it to Joe. Someone like that. I don't think he's learning. I don't think he's sitting at the learning tree. I don't think he's losing it to Jericho.
Yes.
Stop it. You're the reason why he's doing this.
Jericho could be world champion and FTW and for the world champion. So would he be?
He'd be the for the world heavy
champion?
He'd be the for the world AEW champion, or AEW for the world heavyweight champion.
AEW for the world champion. Yes.
So he'd be the world heavyweight champion of the world.
So many, yeah, pretty much. Yes, exactly. And he would
for the world heavyweight champion of the world.
Heavyweight world champion of the world.
Oh, I only want to see it because we'd finally be getting something that we wanted. Oh,
speak it into an existence.
No,
we believe.
No, we believe in Joe Hendry. We don't. He could lose it to Joe Hendry.
You never know. He has a sweet deal. He can do whatever he wants.
He can kind of do whatever he wants.
I
am excited about
right now with that.
To get back to this match, though, I am excited about Swerve Danielson. I think if Danielson is going in there even at like 75% at this point, which I might be giving him a little bit of credit as far as health wise, I don't see any way that this match doesn't provide for us.
It's gonna deliver.
It's gonna deliver. We're gonna get the Swerve. We're gonna get a great Swerve match. We're gonna get a great Danielson match. I think this match stays and it's gonna be a match that stays in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be a match that as a world title match is gonna stay like 85% in the ring, and like the most you're gonna see is like rollouts to give them a second.
Yeah, powder out. I'm sucking wind.
Listen, Guns. Oh man! But with all that said, very excited. I'm liking what AEW is doing with some of this stuff. Again, some of it's confusing. We'll see where they go from it, but I am liking the stuff that's not confusing is really good.
Yeah, All In is shaping up to be a really good card. I'm curious on how they're going to round it out at this point in time, but there's some really stellar matches on here. For the 3 hours of, or let's say 8 hours of matches that we're
getting. We still need like 16 more matches. So, so going on from AEW, we are going to talk about Friday Night SmackDown for the WWE. This was their go home show just before SummerSlam. As per usual with some of these SmackDowns just before PLE, there wasn't a whole lot that happened, at least not physically.
Nothing ever happens on the Go Home SmackDown, except for one thing that's been happening recently.
So we got Cody. You mean the tag team title matches?
That's all that ever really happened. Like they title switch hands, the Go Home episode.
So we start off the show, we get Cody and Solo. It's a good segment, and all around I like that it was to set up Cody all by himself. Mm-hmm. By the way, folks, we did do a SummerSlam review episode. We said it before. We're not going to give you any spoilers from SummerSlam right now until we go and talk about Raw later. We'll do a little bit of time travel again. But up until then, we are just talking about SmackDown right now. So Cody and Solo really, really set them up as Cody being by himself, having to scale this mountain. I liked when he said, "I might be dumb for saying this, but Jacob Fatu, I'm not scared of you either."
He's world champion. He can't be scared.
And he's the uber babyface.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
I would like to see Cody versus Fatu though. Even Cody going over there, that'd be a good match.
I think that'd be a really good match. A really good match, actually.
I feel like they can't do it right now because then all those fake concerns of Fatu.
He's overshadowing Solo.
Like I bet you he goes into that match and has a substantially better match and kind of starts overshadowing Solo.
And that's
I don't
and
buy all that earlier, but it could happen.
yeah, I could see that being the thing. Like he shows up and shows out a little bit, and everyone really, really realizes who Jacob Fatu is because now he's got this great match. It could be like the Carmelo Hayes thing the first night that he showed up. Like if they keep building off of it, he has this great match with Cody, and everyone realizes who the hell he is. We get Blair Davenport. She comes along and aligns herself with Isla Dawn and Alba Fire to cost Jade and Bianca the tag team titles. I do agree with you. Jade and Bianca had these tag team title shots. They should have had these a month or two ago.
I just don't understand why they didn't get immediate
title match
in general. Maybe I'm just playing from an old rule book, but when the champion loses the title, usually they get a rematch or some way back to their title, unless you're elevating them to the next one. Like I understand how Gunther didn't get a rematch against Sammy because he was done with that title, and there's no need for him to get a rematch. He's already done everything he could possibly do. He's held that title longer than anyone else held that title. But something like the tag team titles, when you're not going to split them up, you're not doing anything else with them. You gave Isla and Alba the titles because you were in Scotland, and like that, those titles should already be back with the power duo or whatever they're calling these two.
So I think it was a couple years ago they were trying to shake things up, and I thought they did something where the champion doesn't automatically get a rematch clause anymore. I don't recall if that's still a thing.
Except for Becky, because Becky got a rematch. It was in her clause.
She had it in a clause in her contract, but I think they started saying just because you're the champion and you lose, you don't automatically get a rematch, which I think is kind of crap too. How else do you extend some of these storylines? Yep. And for the most part, they've still pretty much stuck to this idea that, like, hey, if you lose the title, you still get another shot at the title. Unless
you should get a path to it, even if it's a number one contendership match, similar to what they did with Braun. So Braun lost to Sammy at what was it? What was the last PLA?
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. And then he didn't automatically get another shot at it. I know he wasn't champion, but then he got a number one contendership match against Dragunov, and now he's fighting Sammy for it at SummerSlam. SummerSlam,
which we talked about in our review.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet.
Has not happened yet.
So like it was like there's a path to it. So if like someone loses the title, like if it makes sense in storyline wise, and these guys, it couldn't make any more sense storyline wise to get them back with those titles.
I mean, yeah, I think, and again, Blair Davenport getting involved in this is really just because they're friends with Naomi, right? Like this just sets up 3-on-3 at this point.
Well, so what I'm convinced is happening right now, and I do potentially talk about this in the SummerSlam review that will happen in the future. But we've already posted it. It's already been posted, so there's that. I think they're setting up the Freebird rule. So I don't think we're going to see any kind of trios title.
No, I don't think that, but I think the teams are going to be
setting up an awful lot of trio teams right now. Like they have these three. You can technically have Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. They've set up. They have Damage Control. You have what's called Baszler, Zoe,
and Sonya Deville.
And Sonya. So like you kind of have all these trio ladies, and I actually think they're playing a little bait and switch on us because I think that they're doing all this stuff to make it normal that we have this Freebird rule out there. So when we find out who wins later on the tag team title match, that they can have a way to kind of move those titles around.
I could see that. I also see this as, let's not forget who's in charge of creative, and I'm actually not knocking him at this point, but it is Triple H. And who is a bigger Four Horsemen fan than Triple H. And everyone's going to be surprised that he's just littering the landscape with stables. Hands cramping up.
It's cramping up. Oh
man. But I like all of these ideas. I don't mind that we're getting a couple of stables here. We kind of been missing them for the last couple of years, like real stables. We've been missing. I like the idea of the Freebird rule in there too. I like all of this.
Triple H loves his stables, but he also is kind of throwing dissension through all of the partnerships that are out there right now too. So like it's interesting on how that all happens. You'll learn more after the SummerSlam.
SummerSlam review. SummerSlam review. Everyone go watch or go listen to SummerSlam review after we're done reviewing SmackDown. And then come back and listen to Raw. Order. Exactly. We get to see Nia gift Tiffany Stratton her custom Money in the Bank briefcase, looking like a Chanel purse. It's got a little strappy. It's pink. It's very cute. It's very Tiffany Stratton. I actually like how they customize the briefcases lately. I like that Priest had the Senior Money in the Bank. All the ones this a few years ago. I liked when Brock Lesnar had it, and he came out with just a regular briefcase, and he was listening to it like it was a boombox. So they made it look like a boombox. I actually like that one too. Some of these are it's just funny when they do them sometimes now, and it's that little added bit of let's have some fun with it because it's wrestling and it's supposed to be fun. Remember that, guys. Wrestling is supposed to be fun. Watching wrestling is supposed to be fun. Let me change how I say that. We get a big segment involving for the U.S. title match that's going to happen at SummerSlam. LA Knight borrows Logan Paul's custom Prime energy drink Hummer. He's
not an energy drink.
Or I'm sorry, sports drink. Prime sports drink.
Come on,
Hummer.
If you ever want them to be a sponsor, we're gonna put it right in your forehead, just like it's in the
I'm not JD, man.
The just saying, it's enough real estate.
It's not. I mean, maybe it is kind of big, but I have such a good hairline.
What's a hairline?
It's a fracture. Oh man. Everything involving Logan Paul and LA Knight I've really been liking. I love the war of words. I love that they've both kind of flustered each other a little bit with this. Just all around, this has been a good feud, and I am excited for what is going to happen at SummerSlam. Again, SummerSlam review episode. I know we keep beating this dead horse, but we're going to keep going back to it.
You should listen to it.
You should definitely listen to it, but not until we're done with the next part of this review, which is, and Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga win the tag team titles from DIY. Hashtag DIY. Sorry. Hashtag Team Ultra. Honestly, this was pretty telegraphed, right? Like as soon as they put Jacob Fatu in this, I didn't see a world where Jacob Fatu wasn't winning these tag team titles unless he got them disqualified somewhere.
I don't see how any of the Bloodline lose this match, in honesty, because it was just set up for them to take this down. The Bloodline always looks better when they're draped with gold. So this was like the perfect time to give this to them. But this is what I'm talking about with the Freebird rule, because you want Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa to be the tag team champions, not Jacob Fatu. So I think that them establishing this Freebird rule will allow them to kind of shift the titles over to them without having to drop them and pick them back up. And then you have Jacob Fatu can go on to do more single stuff because that's where he's going to shine.
I agree with that. I want Jacob Fatu as a singles wrestler. And I kind of want him, I would like them to step on the gas pedal with whatever they're doing with the Bloodline stuff to figure out where they're going to end up. just so that we can get Jacob Fatu off on his own.
Mm-hmm.
But that was your go-home episode of SmackDown before SummerSlam. Again, go watch or listen to our SummerSlam review. Please do that. And
I'm watching it right now. Right here. It's right here.
He's doing it at this exact moment. It's amazing. That's why we're going to time travel. And we will, by the time we talk to you, it will be post Monday Night Raw.
Whoa.
Oh, it's even scarier because we're wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, like you got to go take a shower or something. I just have a plethora of gray t-shirts.
I'm a smelly. So here we are in the future.
Can you believe that SummerSlam? I'm glad that review went so well.
Oh my God, the review was so good, guys. This was amazing. I'm really excited about all the fallout from SummerSlam that we'll be talking about our Raw review. Go listen to the SummerSlam review first.
It's good.
It's so good. It's okay. So obviously Raw was fallout from SummerSlam. We opened the show.
Wait, before you get too deep into it, this Raw was fantastic.
It was so good.
The Raw after SummerSlam crushes the Raw after Mania this year. I know the Raw after Mania is built up to this thing, but the Raw after SummerSlam was way better. So much happened on this episode. There was some great reveals. We have the debut of the Wyatts in ring. We have the fallout from SummerSlam. All the titles that changed hands at SummerSlam. It was almost like a reset on the year. This Raw, I can't sing the praises of this Raw anymore.
I totally agree with you. This is being praised as the Raw of the year right now.
I think it might be.
And I feel like they're going to have to do something really big for some other Raw, like maybe the Raw after Survivor Series or something, to really top this. But I don't see them topping this one at this point. And the crowd was so into it.
The SummerSlam was really good. You had a lot of storylines that allowed to transition. I wouldn't say they necessarily paid off, but they're now they pivoted. So now we're at the crescendo of some of these storylines. And this one just really took it up a notch. All the things you've been waiting to happen happened on this Raw.
I completely agree. And I was very excited about this. This Raw was really good. Really good. And like I said, the fans were so into this.
Yeah, the Baltimore fans were hot.
So they're just kind of traveling around the AFC North at this point. They weren't from Cleveland to Baltimore.
They go to Pittsburgh.
They were in Pittsburgh recently too, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they were. I'm not sure.
And I think they might have been in Cincinnati somewhat recently. They're hitting that entire AFC North kind of in this circle here. Guys, we're talking about football. I know this is a wrestling podcast, but we are also football fans. So
the foosball, the devil's
which is almost coming, which is almost back. We're almost there. But we open up Raw with Ludwig Kaiser, giving us the introduction to the new world heavyweight champion, the Ring General Gunther. Couple things here. One, it was nice to see Ludwig doing the introduction again. I kind of missed it. We didn't see it for a few weeks. Even at SummerSlam, he didn't do it.
Imperium's still a thing.
I think Gunther looks really good with that belt.
Mm-hmm.
He got interrupted.
I'm so happy they did this so quickly. You did not have to wait for his A+ list challenger.
No, right off the bat. And who do we get? Randy Orton. Randy Orton is challenging.
Good old Randall.
Randall Keith Orton, RKO, if you will, drops down that Punk card and calls out Gunther for Bash at Berlin in his home country.
He's Austrian.
Randy said his home country.
He's Austrian. Randy, come on. Everyone already thinks Americans are bad geography. Don't prove them right.
Don't prove them. Don't prove them right. This was a good segment, though. I mean, this was a really good segment. I like that they didn't get into it. You know, like Randy didn't just mysteriously hit him with an RKO on this one. They left it where they're not touching each other just now. But I do like the Randy line where he's like, "You called yourself a living legend. Well, brother, I've made a career out of killing legends." And I really like that line. And I like that he's kind of lightheartedly saying it. He's been pretty lighthearted in everything he's done, including his run down to SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm. Slap hands. I like this face, Randy Orton. I love how this Raw kind of blurs the lines of the roster split, because you had a couple SmackDown appearances here, but then Randy Orton coming down, calling back to the kind of the botch at King of the Ring.
King of the Ring.
And so that kind of showing why he should be the number one contender, because without that little snafu, Gunther's not champion.
Not in there.
And he may or may be, but you'll never know, because that match never would have finished in that way. So I love that this being the first challenger. I think that this is the perfect opportunity to put Gunther over and really establish him. I don't think he's going to lose this in Berlin at this point in time. And Randy Orton will get pinned, hopefully properly this time.
Hopefully. Or does Randy Orton get put in sleeper hold and gets put out?
You can't botch that. I mean,
you cannot botch that.
It's hard.
I mean,
I don't think Gunther would.
I've seen it. Again, really good segment. I like everything that they're doing with this. They're setting. It's like they pivoted and they're already giving Gunther a better world title reign than they did with Priest the entire time.
Yeah, and I bet you Gunther gets over on Orton cleanly.
Clean.
In his first one.
In his first one, yeah.
Instead of not ever.
Never ever. Never ever bring it up again. Just bury it deep down. We're making last few shows. We've been making a lot of Will Ferrell references.
That's 2 Talladega Nights ones.
So
I want to go fast.
I want to go so fast. We're gonna go fast a little bit. Next thing is we get Damian Priest calling out Finn Balor for double crossing him, which wasn't telegraphed at all. No one saw that coming. Everyone saw it coming.
The demise of the Judgment Day, we knew it was coming. I do like some of Finn's responses here on how there wasn't supposed to be a leader, and ever since Priest got the title, he changed. He tried to become that leader that they didn't want. I get, and that kind of, it does hark back to one of our big complaints of him never getting a really good title defense, because they're always there to help him out. They never got that clean one to put him over. So I get why that was the case. I still just don't like it. I just think it made him look weak.
I agree. Although I'm excited that we finally have full-on babyface Damian Priest. Like, he's not sitting on both sides of the fence anymore. Now he's
just
a babyface. And he's not an I'm happy to be here babyface anymore. That was, if you, for those of us who have watched the Damian Priest documentary, when he kind of got first pulled into the main roster, they made him a babyface, and he was kind of like this I'm happy to be here guy. But that's not his character. That's not the rock star that he's trying to be. That's not that's not who he is just in general. He's a pretty positive guy and a good dude, but like, he's not, hey, like, I'm 6'6" and 250 pounds, but it's cool because I'm just happy to be here. Don't worry about the fact that I can probably beat up most of America. No, like, still make him the badass, but have them be the badass that acknowledges the fans, and hey, like, I'm here for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's all you really had to do. But I did like I liked Finn's promo in this. It was a lot more serious than a lot of the stuff that he's done with the Judgment Day, just in general. I'm hoping that he never brings back that stupid purple bucket cap ever again. It's just,
you never know. There's always a chance.
But you and I spoke about this, how Finn's whole argument is that there's not supposed to be a leader of the Judgment Day, and now he's kind of the leader of the Judgment Day.
Yeah, to a certain extent. I'm curious on how this unfolds later, because we've been talking a lot about this story. This is the A storyline right now. Let's be real. Like, this is probably even better than the Bloodline storyline.
I think it is
on SmackDown, but this is clearly the A storyline on Raw. And within all of this stuff, there's been a lot of things that kind of surprised me. Like, one of which was when Dom picked up Liv after she beat Rhea with his help, and how surprised she looked. Like, she really didn't see that coming. So this swerve kind of feels like she wasn't included in it. And it seemed almost separate from Finn's. I'm sure that Finn and Dominic had talked ahead of time. So, like, them kind of coming together, it makes me nervous for this, because now this faction kind of feels like a group of jobbers to a certain degree. Because, like, with Priest, they were really something to be taken seriously, and they've not done Finn any favors over the last couple of weeks. He was the one to lose to elevate a challenger for Priest. So in my mind, he really needs to go on a bit of a winning streak. I'm dying. I'm like just dying for Dominic Mysterio to be taken seriously in the ring. Like, I want to see him almost like, this is the perfect moment, right? He always failed because Rhea never believed in him, but Liv always did. Liv believes in him, and now he can find that gumption to start winning some matches here and there. Even if it is,
believe in him? Do you believe?
I believe. But I just want to see him win, because he's a great talent and he's so over. He's the only person to ever turn heel while heel. It's an amazing.
One of us had to say it.
Thing. Yeah, I still have on Twitter, by the way. Whoever posted that was freaking fantastic. And yeah, like, this whole faction, like, it just makes me worried, because, like, Carlito's not somebody who's going to be a force to be reckoned with these days. JD certainly isn't, even though he is tag team champion.
I mean, unless someone throws his head at him.
I mean, he should start throwing more headbutts. And later on in this match, Priest and JD have a brawl. Like, it is a physical match. And it's almost like they really are mad at splitting up.
I like JD McDonough. I always have, and I thought he was kind of this, almost like this forgotten, this lost treasure in the middle of all this Judgment Day stuff, because he was constantly putting on really, really good stuff. And he was doing that beforehand. He was doing it before he came up to the main roster, and he was doing it in NXT UK even. I think this was a lot of, again, this, like you said, this is the A storyline. This is what we're tuning in for every week now, is this.
And, like, give Liv her roses. She elevated the storyline substantially when she got involved with it.
We've been saying that ever since they gave her a chance.
Said we don't get it.
It started getting better.
The thing that makes me worried, though, is that they're going to get the damage control treatment. At the minute you took the star out of the faction, which they took 2 mega stars out of this faction, that they're going to turn into a job squad, and I don't want to see that here, because this faction's great, and, like, even without Priest and Rhea, I think it could still be great if it's handled correctly. I'm just not sure if I believe it's going to be.
I think they could really do some damage with this, with Judgment Day, if they have them in a really good, if outside of just what they're doing with the feuding with Priest thing, if they eventually turn this around and realize they can have a really awesome tag team division and kind of build it off of Finn and JD's shoulders. Like,
Mhm.
if they're gonna sign the Motor City Machine Guns, like Motor City Machine Guns versus Finn and JD would be an amazing match. It's just going to be awesome, and I'd love to see it. I'm hoping that they start doing a little bit more with tag team stuff. I know Triple H isn't much of a tag team guy. I know WWE isn't much of a tag team territory throughout its history. I love tag team wrestling, and I want to see some really great tag team wrestling, and
Yep.
I'm like yearning for it. And we keep saying it. We said it in the SummerSlam review episode. In case you didn't know, you can go watch it or listen to it now.
Live now.
It's live now. Mike already watched it. He said it was awesome.
It was great.
It was
and
amazing.
I'm always right.
It was. There's a really good host.
It's a handsome dude.
We get after everything with Priest and Finn and the new Judgment Day, I guess it would be the NJD, if you will. We get a CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre segment. Whoever posted the meme of Drew looking like Simone Biles, if it was a matter of messing with CM Punk as an Olympic sport, kudos to you as well. I think everything that Seth, Drew, and Punk are doing right now is gold.
It's gold, yeah. And I think this is going to start turning into the A storyline.
I think the Judgment Day and this storyline are like the 1A and the 1B storyline. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, neither one is more important than the other one, but they're both the two most important storylines in probably WWE right now.
But based on the way I see this going down, based on what happened at SummerSlam, based on some of the things I'm reading, it looks like Hell in the Cell at Bad Blood, Drew versus CM Punk. And that makes this the A storyline.
I could definitely see that. That looks, and this led directly into Seth Rollins getting utterly destroyed.
Oh my goodness. Big Bronson Reed.
By Bronson Reed. Big Bronson Reed came out, and I know I keep quoting him. I'm going to quote Bully Ray on this one again. What did Bronson Reed do? He did 6 tsunamis. He didn't Tsunami. But realistically, how simple was it with what he did? And I'm not saying coming off the top rope when you're a 375-pound man or whatever he is simple. But the overall act of what he did, he didn't hit him with a million different moves. He didn't hit him with 300 chair shots. He hit him with 6 splashes off the top rope. And it was
Seth felt a couple of those. A few of those landed pretty hard.
Some of those were rough, man. All the ones that he jumped through the officials for.
Yeah.
Those were I liked when Michael Cole finally said, "Well, someone just pulled Seth out of the ring." I'm like, why didn't they do that like 4 tsunamis ago?
After the first one?
Well, yeah, when his ribs weren't broken just yet, they were just hurt.
The one thing that I am a little concerned about here is I just don't want to see Bronson Reed be built to lose to Seth. Like, this guy has some talent. Like, he can really get pushed, but recently the way they've kind of used him is to elevate other people. This kind of onslaught that he threw at Seth, if done correctly, could propel him into a higher title picture and like be a legitimate contender. So I would like to see them do that more so than just build him up so Seth can beat him, and then he goes back to the mid card.
I would like this to turn into something where, so you don't see this version of it very often, and I know this was a way I used to like to see matches end, or I wanted to start seeing more matches end since they kind of pulled it away. I wouldn't mind seeing this. We get this match at, let's say, Bash of Berlin or Bad Blood or whichever one they're going to put them on at. And Bronson Reed wins. But instead of being happy enough with the win, he just keeps beating on Seth. and they reversed the decision. So you
I
won.
love that.
Because you didn't really lose. Like, yeah, there's an L in the win-loss column, but you won. Like Seth didn't beat you. You won that match. And I think that's a really good way to give him a loss and then still get another match and get a win. And then maybe get a third match where Rollins wins the blow-off.
Sure.
But realistically, you had 2 matches where Bronson Reed won the match. He has established himself as this new monster. And I would love, and Triple H, if you're listening, you're probably not. You don't
obviously.
You don't have time for us sometimes. But I understand, like, you can give me a call. My number's not listed, but my email is down below. Right below here, like in our description. If you like this idea, again, we're freelance. We'll take a contract right now. Showtime has a real job, but I will be there tomorrow.
I do. And it's a fun one too. But I'm not going to get into that here.
If
That's
I
a whole different
were,
person.
I try to refrain from doing fantasy booking as much as I can on this show, but it's always fun to do a little bit. If I was booking, if I was booking this, if I had the pencil for Bronson Reed, Seth, I would do it like that, where Bronson wins the first match. Instead of him just taking the win, he just keeps beating up on Seth. They disqualify him. They go in, they do something where maybe Seth wins the second match, but it's still really not a real win. He gets a count out or something. Something where he just gets Bronson Reed to make a slight mistake. I would like the third match to be a non-sanctioned match, or like a non-sanctioned submission match or something like that, where and every time I say this with a big guy, they're always like, well, but won't that make the big guy look weak? No, because if it's not sanctioned, that means there's no rules.
Sure.
And that means that if you do something where it's a submission match and Seth has to put him on, let's say he puts him in like the figure 4 around the post and he doesn't let it go, and he gets the submission that way. Okay, that's the only way he was able to get that submission, and that's not a legal move. So Bronson Reed is not weaker by looking at that because he got hit with a move that's not legal normally. It took Seth Rollins cheating, basically, as the babyface to beat this monster, because that's the only way to do it. Again, that's me. I just always like the idea of that type of storyline where we have to get to that point where we really need to do something where Seth can't win without maybe getting his hands a little dirty. And he's still Seth Rollins. He's not outside that realm of possibility. But I love this segment. If you can't tell.
This was a good one.
This is a really good one, and it was really simple what they did.
It kept getting better and better with every tsunami. And would you save that poor guy?
Yeah. And like the first one was like, oh, this is what we're doing, and that first tsunami really felt like, all right, well, we're feeding Bronson to Seth. By like tsunami number 3, you're like, maybe they're not. And then once
maybe we're feeding Seth to Bronson.
Yeah, and then once they had him start diving through the officials, I was like, this is good stuff. This is really good stuff, actually. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see where this goes. One of the things I'm I'm excited about it because it is continuing the storyline. I like Odyssey Jones, and I like that he debuted. I like that they had Xavier look so confused about it and that he didn't know what was going on. This just adds more to the Karrion Kross side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think
his clean shaven, that was weird.
Clean shaven Karrion Kross.
No yeah, that was weird.
I want Karrion Kross. I would like to talk to him one day and just be like, hey, Kev, can you just go back to the look you had when you first came back? You know, nice shorter hair, but like you looked diabolical, and you know, instead of being the Woody Harrelson psychopath, you're the Lex Luthor psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I feel like he needs to live. But this is still just building, and my only worry is that the final testament is going to kind of get pushed to the wayside on this one, and this is becoming more about the New Day.
Yeah,
And this should have
the
been about
Teenage Mutant Ninja New Day.
yes, which that I loved.
I want those kicks that Kofi had. The green and orange. Those things. The Michelangelo Nikes. Those things are tight.
What about Roman Reigns as Shredder?
That's cool, but I don't see him coming down in Shredder gear.
No, like I just want the figure I just want the figure of that.
No, I meant the shoes that he was wearing in that match because like they look so cool in that gear. Roman's never dressing up.
No, not ever. I love the amount of nerd gear that the New Day does put on. Like they had the Power Rangers one time where one was the White Ranger and one was the Green Ranger. Yes, all the yes.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm losing a little bit of interest in this storyline just because, like I said, it is veering away from Final Testament and it's becoming more about them. And I know this was where they were going anyway, but I wanted to see more out of the Final Testament.
I would like to see a Xavier Woods heel turn and go on a singles run. Like I think this setting this up, it would be great. You can let Odyssey Jones hang out with Kofi. And they could stay the New Day or whatever you want to call them.
The newer day.
The old day. The the next day. So you can kind of keep that, but I think Xavier Woods could use for a nice little singles run.
He needs a refresher.
Mm-hmm.
So next segment I have written down here. I hate to say this, but this was a useless segment. So a bit of a WrestleMania rematch between both former tag team champions, A-Town Down Under and the Awesome Truth. It was. I'm only bringing it up because Truth's involved in it, and I can't not bring up Truth for you.
That's the truth.
But at the same time, that's kind of all I have to say about this match. It kind of was what it was.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with these two teams at all.
No, and I think I feel like Miz is transitioning more to a non-wrestling role than anything else.
He might be, but he also might be like turning on Truth too because he's getting frustrated now. You can kind of see it at the end of this match. I could see him turning on Truth, which I don't want to see that.
Or does Truth turn on Miz?
Man, do I want that more than anything else in the world? Because heel Truth is so much fun.
Do we get little Jimmy back?
I don't want little Jimmy back. What I want, and I think I've said this before on the show, is what I want is someone talking to Truth. And where you kind of catch him in segments, kind of talking to himself. And everyone's like, are you all right? He's like, yeah, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? And then it turns out that he was actually talking to somebody the whole time. Like, give me Paul Heyman and I'm in. Like, I know it won't be Paul Heyman, but like the whole time, all these conversations he's having, but having Paul Heyman in there would be great. Have it be Arn Anderson. Have it somebody who's actually talking to.
It'll be the last person anyone expects. Jim Cornette.
It could be Road Dogg, like whatever, like because they have that history going back. And like kind of have someone like pushing him to go out there, which would help us build to our Truth versus Stardust. I mean Cody Rhodes.
Main event.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it works. I have here we officially get Priest and Rhea as full baby faces.
Like I said, this match was brutal. Like these two guys acted like they really did break up. That like JD was legitimately angry at Priest for the way he's behaved, and that Priest was actually hurt by what happened. But I will say, like, I love when the heels are right, because let's be real, Priest has been a turd to them for the last couple months, like telling them stay out of my business. Every time that they have a misstep, he kind of comes down on them hard. He's been a bit of a turd to the Judgment Day, and I don't blame them at all for what they did.
except
Except for
for the.
Dom, well, yeah, like except for the Dom, you're right, and that's why Dom didn't really double cross Priest. If you notice, they kind of stay away
He,
from each other a little
I
bit.
mean, but he did he started giving him the beatdown. He was giving him the boots at
Yeah,
the end of the match until Rhea came out, and then they cleared the world.
yeah, they sure did.
And you know what? That I believe that. I love the fact. I like the fact that Rhea should be a babyface. Rhea was a babyface this whole time. Rhea was the Will Ospreay of the Judgment Day. She was a
Yeah,
babyface that was with a heel group.
she was still acting pretty heelish, to be honest with you, but she turned full on babyface in Sydney
Absolutely,
at
absolutely.
Elimination Chamber. That was really the turning point.
So we got this. Like you said, it was a really good match. Again, not a lot of missteps on this Raw, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
And we officially get the Wyatt Six in-ring debut. This is a big deal, not just because it's finally their in-ring debut. It was against the American-made new group led by Chad Gable. American-made, American-made,
American-made,
American-made, American-made. If they can relicense the old American Males theme music for them, I'm so in.
I know everybody's been talking about getting Angle to come in here and manage Gable and crew. Let's just bring back Buff Bagwell.
Just
Let
let
him
it
have
be
his
Buff.
time in WWE.
Let it be Buff Bagwell and Scotty Riggs.
Sure.
It'll be so terrible and yet amazing.
According to the Vice documentary, those guys are hanging out together again.
That's what I'm hearing. This is also a matter of the Wyatts, the Wyatt storyline coming a little bit full circle. So the original Wyatt debut was also in Baltimore. So this is kind of, I believe, even in this building, which is kind of cool that we got their in-ring debut with this. And I'll say it, I like the Wyatt Six. I am not so old school that I'm just not in this right now, and I'm trying to give them their time to establish exactly what they are, that maybe they're not so again, I like the idea that they're not so much magic, that they're more psychological.
Yeah. And they had a real match here. Like, this was a real match, not spookiness.
And I like that. I would like to see I say it all the time. My favorite version of Bray and the Wyatt family in general was the original. The Cajun, cult guys. And I understand why he never went back to it. I fully understand it. He was open about that once Brody Lee died. He never wanted to do that storyline again because him and Brody Lee and Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman were the Wyatt family. Like, it's one thing if Brody Lee, Luke Harper, whatever you want to call him, was just off doing his own thing and they tried to do it. But the second he died, he was like, it's my best friend or one of my best friends, and I don't want to do this without him. I don't want to do this without the chance that he can come back and do this with me. And I respect him for doing that. With that said, that was still my favorite version of it. That was the scariest version of it because it was such a realistic take on it. It was that cult. If any of you are old enough to remember and go back, you can see Dan Spivey does a gimmick called Waylon Mercy way back in the day. And you can tell it's a direct take on that. But Waylon Mercy was 20 years too early. And we were not ready for that.
Bray Wyatt, love it.
Bray Wyatt was, yeah, exactly. Very Back to the Future. Bray Wyatt was right on time, I think, and it's just one of those things. I'm very excited to see what they do with the Wyatts. This Raw was amazing. I'm so happy that they came off SummerSlam like that. I'm going to say it for the 18th time. SummerSlam's still my favorite event. This was a great SummerSlam. This SummerSlam proved why I love SummerSlam so much. And the Raw after SummerSlam, like we said, was probably better than the Raw after Mania. Actually, it was definitely better than the Raw after Mania. That's not even a probably. But that's kind of kind of the show for this week, guys. Like I said,
Yeah.
we have some exciting bonus content still coming out. Please, 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 like I said, we're gonna be keep pushing out for Tap Cancer Out. Please, please, please follow some of our friends of the show. Follow Coal Mine, follow Lane Rosario, follow Jim Molino, Kakoa. All these guys that have been
Hmm.
on the show have helped us out. Lindsey Jordan. All of these guys have been really, really great and helpful with us. And of course, as always, we love you. Thank you for
We sure
listening to
do.
us. Thank you for supporting us. We are building such a great fan base right now, and I appreciate all of you for supporting us and being with us. Showtime, I may not say enough to you, but I appreciate you too for coming on this journey with
Oh,
me.
shucks. Keep going.
But that's kind of all I have for this show. Any closing words from you,
We
Mr.
got
Showtime?
just to go a little bit from what you're saying about the fan support here. We've eclipsed our 1,000 listens on Spotify, which I thought was a pretty big deal.
That is a
So
huge
thank
deal.
you guys all for that, and with that, let's keep it up. Check out SummerSlam review. Though we had a lot of fun doing that one. And so, other than that, no, I don't really have much more to say. So, guys, I'll see you next time, or we'll see you on another time.
And as always, guys, remember, tuck your chin when you bump.